Time for reports and communications. The following reports and communication items are provided for the council's information. No action can be taken on items under this section unless the council agrees to include it on a subsequent agenda. First up is Councilmember Harris.
Fairly light last 2 weeks. We had the Regional Housing Authority meeting at where the major thing we did, we approved a service contract for the operation and maintenance of the Yuba City Migrant Center out there near Richland Housing Center. And I also wanted to mention tomorrow, June 16th, there's a ribbon cutting ceremony for the New Haven Housing Project, which is also there at Garden Highway at Percy. SACOG, Land Use and Natural Resource Subcommittee. A lot of routine procedural things going on with there. We did have more discussion on the Regional Trails Project and the bike path we've heard talk about here in this room and many other places recently. And as recently as today, we had a meeting with several members of the city staff and SACOG regarding the steps moving forward to development and obtain funding and planning. There's a long process ahead of us. But the point was to get everybody in the same room to discuss the project and everybody on the same page, kind of waiting and being strategic about it, getting timing down and next steps in order to hopefully someday, one day, have that. I'll probably be on a 3-wheel bicycle by then, but we'll get the trail built somehow. It's a pretty exciting project, though. I went to the Marysville Taco Festival. If anybody went, it was nice and warm, but it was fun. A lot of good food, a lot of good people out there, and an enjoyable evening. And we, of course, Sabufka, Sotheby's Flood Control Agency, we had our meeting, and Mr. Bissett did a really good job summarizing everything that's been going on at that agency lately, so it's good. I did have the opportunity, finished up on Saturday. I've been attending a once-a-week virtual meeting with the FBI, their virtual Citizens Academy, which is similar to what our local PD does. And it was 8 weeks online, and then one Saturday we got to go, and they gave us a tour of all the SWAT team toys and at the range and things like that. And that happened the Saturday before last, which was very enjoyable, and I appreciate everything we learned and got to meet several people and network a little bit and learn a lot about the FBI. Plus, I won first place in the shooting contest, so that's good. I have a target to prove it.
We're playing cop, huh?
Yeah. Anyway, it was very good, and if anybody had an opportunity, you can look it up online at the FBI. But they're Citizens Academy. They do a really good job. It was very nice. Some good people. So that is it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up is Councilmember Espandola.
Councilmember Harris, I really enjoy your report, and specifically when you're talking about the shooting and how good you are still.
Remember that?
Yes. One eye or two eyes? Was that it? One eye or two eyes, sir? Anyhow, right over. Okay. Yeah, exactly. It's been a busy couple weeks. So attended the Bi-County Homeless, JPA, which is the Government Affairs Committee. We covered a lot, trying to get everyone acclimated to what's going on within the homelessness community in here. And within the city, we're going to be meeting tomorrow to have some more updates on what is actually the metrics and what's happening in the city, how many homeless individuals have been identified. I think that maybe, we've already passed the future items for agenda, but another presentation on where we're at on all of this will happen, and we're going to put together a workshop so everyone will have the same set of information here in the near future. Attended the Feather River Air Quality Management District meeting. A lot of activity within the air quality in the community. There was a huge fire burn out at Beale Air Force Base in that area. Luckily, our community, I think, responded pretty well. Not a lot of scare of seeing the smoke or what's going on, but I think in Yuba County there was a little bit more of a hesitation and scare of what was going on, because I don't think people were totally informed on that. met with our Regional Water Authority Executive Director and Diana Langley and I and a couple of, and Ryan, to discuss some of the work, particularly with water and the drought and the seriousness of that, and how communication is being delivered in the region, because the Regional Water Authority covers a very large area, and we're part of that. And so we were talking about communication for non-English speakers and how to communicate information on resiliency, water conservance, and all these other areas. And into that, I was asked to join two other committees. One of them is the Regional Water Advocacy for the state part advocacy on that, and the other is the Regional Water Affairs for the federal piece of it. So I'll be joining those two committees tomorrow. With the state advocacy, there's a couple of bills that apparently are being worked on. I don't know all the details of yet because I'm attending my first meeting tomorrow, and one of them is a $200 million bill that we're trying to get for infrastructure for capital projects and improvement. And in that discussion, I'm asking, can we bring some money to the city of Yuba City? So hoping that maybe that'll work out for us in the future. You've heard about Sutter Butte flood control. Mike Bissett does an amazing job, and we just gave him a nice little raise increase as well, so he totally deserves that. This one's a little longer, but I'm not going to get into too much of the details because our staff is pretty up to date on this. I also participate, as you know, with the League of Cities of California. I'm on the Revenue Taxation Policy Committee, and we have normally our meeting's about 4 or 5 hours at one time, so it's a long meeting. But one of the reports, and I forward these reports to our city manager and to Spencer, our finance. The Mooney Services did a report stating that in quarter of 2021 compared to quarter of 2020 to 2021 in the Sacramento Valley, there was an increase of tax revenue of 35.4%. And in this was a huge infusion of federal dollars. Specifically, they identified the CARES funding, Consolidated Appropriation Act, which was the monies that came out towards the end of last year, and the American Rescue Plan. They were, in the presentation, they were discussing that compared to the Great Recession and where we're at now, the taxation infusion of this money is helping northern Sacramento area much greater than Southern California compared to what that recession looked like for 2008 to where we're at now. Also, they reported an increase in personal savings has increased, which is a good thing. This supports consumer confidence and should provide a source of cash for taxable sales. The other thing that they reported was a real GDP, which is following a 3.5% decline in 2020, with a forecast is for a 6.3 growth in 2021 and a 4.6 growth in 2022 and a 2.7 growth in 2023. And these rates of the growth are considerably higher than what the average rates were, which was 2.3% during the recovery of the Great Recession. So this is based on the Anderson forecast. So these numbers are encouraging. This also, I think, addresses some of the community in need and what we were just talking about, water rates, that the unemployment in California is at 8.3 in March of 2021, and in December of 2019, it was 3.9%. In December 2021, unemployment reaches the more typical rate of 6% to 7% in California. Additionally, unemployment benefits from the federal government should be expiring soon. So maybe that'll have an impact with folks that are not working, or, individuals that are, businesses that are looking for people to work in their businesses. It was quite an extensive, we also looked at legislation. We looked at the American Rescue Plan and the rollout of that, and how cities are responding to that. the needs of cities, guidance, and so all of that has been forwarded to our city manager. And if any of you have interest of that, I'm sure he'd be happy to forward that on to all of you. I will end with something really fun. If you haven't started pickleball, that's the game. If you have not started this, you may join. There's going to be a tournament. Our city's hosting a tournament starting Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's going to be a hot few days, but I believe folks are going to probably start early, and there's about 130 or so plus individuals playing. And I have recently joined this gaming and playing. It's really a lot of fun. So if anyone hasn't started, I started this through our Parks and Rec, joined and did a couple of lessons, and been hooked since then. So I hope that people enjoy themselves during pickleball and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice report. Councilman Kirchner, you're up.
Through the mayor. Thank you. So my time started on the 4th with the continuation of the business retention task force. And I'll let the vice mayor elaborate more on that, but we were tasked with putting together a group of questions for questionnaire that we'll send out to businesses in our community to ask them what we can do better. On the 9th was the Gilsizer Drainage District meeting. Essentially, it was a very short meeting. The one thing on the agenda was approval for development services staff to work with county road staff and Sutter County General Services Department for either transferring district equipment to road or auctioning off surplus district equipment. So what they're doing is they're doing the same thing Mosquito did, and that is auctioning off surplus equipment. And then on to all things Mosquito. They've already done their surplus of sale equipment. Out of that, $29,000 was able to go back into their operating budget. There was a personnel committee report, a recommendation of the board. It looks like their employees are going to get a 3.5% pay increase, and there's going to be adjustment to sick leave in addition to that. As of July 1st, their starting wage will move from $15 an hour to $16 an hour. There's been limited West Nile activity. I believe it was in Sac County, but very, very limited. And then July 1st, we can expect our first town spraying with mosquito spray. On the 14th, it was my privilege to attend a Flag Day event at Sutter Cemetery with the mayor and the vice mayor, put on by American Legion 705. First ever flag retirement ceremony. There was a young man who was a Eagle Scout, and his project was to leave receptacles around town for folks that had flags that needed to be retired. And the Legion was only expecting a few hundred flags. They got over 1,000. So there was a great turnout that day by this council and our community, for that matter. And I'm looking forward to attending that in the future. And I will close on good positive. I'm hoping everybody braves the heat on Saturday to come on out to Summer Stroll, right? That's this weekend, right? So it's nice to see that we're kind of coming out of this thing called COVID and get together and move on with our lives. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Try to keep it brief. We had a few meetings between the last meeting, council meeting. We did some subcommittee work with Sabufka, and looking forward to those resolutions coming forward, which will definitely help development. As when we started looking at impact fees, the premise is to bring back to the council, control what we control and get out of the business of stuff we don't control. So I've been working with Michael Bissett very well, and I'm looking forward to that coming forward next month to where we can continue to support them, but yet promote growth in our community here. The Business Retention Task Force set a little bit more of an ambitious goal than I think our CM originally started, because he was wanting us to be out and have things moving by next month. We're trying to get things out this month to the businesses. Really trying to find out that key information. What are we doing that's in their way? What are we not doing that we should be doing to help them? That's the cusp of where we're going, because we have to be business friendly. And that does not mean just attracting new businesses, but that means taking care of what's here, because we got to see them succeed so that we can be successful. Yuba City Transit, that has been moving forward with the property purchase on Avondale. That meeting is coming up on Thursday. GSEC, we just had our annual report last Thursday from GSEC. GSEC's membership continues to grow. In case you don't know, is Greater Sacramento Economic Council. They promote growth, development, job attraction, business attraction for the Greater Sacramento region, which we are a part of. With that, you may have heard in the news recently, Aggie Square. That is coming as a project that came out of GSEC, and that is a collaborative effort with a couple of businesses in UC Davis. They have $9 million in assets. They have further commitments of $17 million, or it should be taking our balance up to about $17 million, so they can help continue the business attraction and growth. Been working with Mr. Broom, and look forward to potentially bringing something back as we continue to get plugged into that area. Their main focus on the corridors has been the 80 corridor, the 50 corridor, and I've brought up to be addressed at our August retreat. Let's look at the 99 North corridor, see what we can do to get things turned here. So we're working on those as well. And then lastly, Councilmember Kirshner's already mentioned it, but to the Eagle Scout, the young man that started that process, kudos to you, young man. Congratulations on your Eagle Scout. Heck of a good job. The American Legion, thank you. Sutter Cemetery, great to see all the jurisdictions get involved. Our fire chief was actually there. I believe he's online. Yes, Chief Alexander is. He was there, and so was our fire department with the big truck and the great big, I can't remember what kind of flag they called it, but it's the great garrison flag. Thank you. The former chief would know that. The garrison flag was flying over where they actually did the official retirement of the over 1,000 flags. So thank you to all involved, and thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. A couple announcements relative to the 4th of July. The area is planning on having its fireworks show on July 4th. It'll be still coming from Riverfront Park or Beckworth Riverfront Park. Shoot time is scheduled right now at 9:30. More details to follow. The city will once again be hosting its 4th of July parade for kids. It will be starting at 9 a.m. and it will the starting location will be the Center Street area on Plymouth Street. So it'll end at the town center. A little modified version due to COVID, but nonetheless we'll be able to have a what we would consider to be a full parade down Plymouth Street. As far as meetings, I was out of the state for a good portion of last week. I was unable to attend the Gil Sizer meeting, but I know Mr. Kirchner there had that well under control. As the Vice Mayor mentioned, we were fortunate to be invited to a flag ceremony out at Sutter Cemetery, and it was their first one that they've done, and I think it went off really well. And to the young man, Brady Knox, I believe is his name, Eagle Scout, a heck of a little Eagle project to recognize our flag. Tomorrow, as was mentioned earlier, the New Haven apartment project on Garden Highway, there will be a ceremony there. I'm unable to attend due to some business things I've got going in my regular business, but the Vice Mayor has kindly agreed to speak on behalf of the city. I will be attending a SACOG meeting for Councilperson Harris on Thursday. Looking forward to getting all that good stuff that SACOG's been involved with. The Vice Mayor and I had an opportunity were invited by the Gold Sox to throw out the first pitch on opening night, and I will say that the mayor and the vice mayor of Yuba City outperformed the mayor and the councilperson from Marysville. So that's just oh, Sierra was there. That's right.
There are photos.
I do want to say something on tax revenue, and this was part of the business meetings I attended out of state, and it involves ag, and this is just more of an alert than anything else. You know, this area is an ag area, and right now, and our car dealers are in the same way. So when we start speaking about tax revenue, and this is signaling to the city manager and to the finance director, is if you take a look at the lots of those folks that sell equipment, whether it be an automobile or a tractor or anything like that, you'll find that there's not a lot of stuff on the lots, and a lot of that is due to supply chain issues and inventory issues. If you pay attention to how the city obtains a fair amount of its sales tax revenue, it has to do with the sale of equipment. So I just think we need to be real careful. Sometimes ag communities are good in regards to they weather the storm of tax issues. And other times when things like this happen and you compound it with a drought, and some of the impacts to all the collateral businesses that support ag, we just need to be mindful, I think, going forward of what projections might be in a more metro area than what might be happening here in our community. I would like to close the meeting tonight in memory of Thomas J. Fowler Jr. He was a city employee in our city from, it looks like, May 1975 to June of 2021. And with that, we will close the meeting this evening. Thanks.